What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 22 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. Now a lot of you comment wanting to see how many I got wrong, and I thought I'd show you in today's video. We only got 2 picks wrong and got 22 right, which is a 93% win rate. Yes guys, you heard that right, 93% win rate. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get a 93% win rate and get 22 picks right like me, win more bets or receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord to meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $750 just yesterday, and another member who won $550 for the 5th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. And also want to give a quick shout out to the comments of the day who commented on my last video. We have Snaggy Waggy who said cash 2 days in a row, so shouts out to him. Also Jeffrey Davis who commented let's get it, and then Calvin Coleman who also said let's go. So shout out to them. So if you want to get a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment and like on this video and you could be in the running to get a shout out for tomorrow's video. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is none other than Andrew Wiggins. Now as you all know, Andrew Wiggins is playing for his new team, the Miami Heat, and this one is a fantastic one for 19.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now look at Andrew Wiggins, we've actually seen him go in the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now looking over the last 5 games, on February 24 he faced off against the Milwaukee Bucks, he had 20 points there. Atlanta Hawks he scored 23. Against Atlanta Hawks again on a back-to-back he only had 15, and then next after that was Chicago Bulls where he had 22 points, and then faced off against Charlotte where he only had 19. So like we mentioned, 2 out of the last 5 he's gone on the under, and they do face off in this next matchup against none other than the LA Clippers. Now as you all know, the LA Clippers do actually rank 5th when it comes to points allowed, which I think is interesting to see due to the fact that LA Clippers rank very high. That is a big reason why we do like the under for this situation here. When we look at a team like LA Clippers also do a fantastic job at restricting points to the forward position, which is what Andrew Wiggins is. So we definitely see him struggling coming into this matchup. Now both teams are continuing to fight for a playoff spot. They are still in a great position, but I do believe they are going to take this game seriously on both sides. I know some teams right now are looking to tank, but when it comes to this matchup, we should see them play very hard. Clippers should send their defensive strategies more towards the star players of this team, whether it's Wiggins, Harrow, or Bam Adebayo, and I do believe Wiggins will definitely struggle in the points department. Now his average over the last 5 is 19.8, so slightly above this line, but when you look at some of these games that he has gone on the over, it is kind of just making it over by 2 to 3 points at times. It's definitely not convincing enough to us, and we haven't really seen him score at will as of recent, especially in his new role in this Miami team. He is still adjusting very much, and his usage rate is still very unpredictable about whether he's a scorer for the team, the defender, or anything of that nature. And although his average over the last 5 is 19.8, we still like the under, especially against a slower pace LA Clippers team. But as you all know, LA Clippers are a very slow paced team, and because of that, Miami are also slow paced, so we aren't expecting a lot of pace in this matchup, so it should definitely lead to less volume for Andrew Wiggins, especially in the scoring department. Now when we look at Wiggins facing off against the Clippers so far this season, now all 3 games were actually when he was with the Golden State Warriors, so that's definitely something you need to take into consideration. It's not really a great analogy for it, but he did still have 29 points on the first game. The second game on the 18th he had 22, and the most recent one on the 27th he only had 5 points. So like I mentioned, it is for his old team, the Golden State Warriors. Now that he is with the Miami Heat, he has a different role, and he'll probably play completely differently as he usually does. But I thought I'd still just show you that. But for Andrew Wiggins, 19.5 points for less, I think is an absolute steal. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about, a runner-up in the MVP race right now, and that is none other than Nicola Jokic. So this one is a fantastic one for Nicola Jokic. However, this one is for 13.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now look at Nicola Jokic. We've actually seen him go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games, and they do face off against none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now looking at his last 5 games, he faced off against Boston Celtics on March 3rd, where he had 14 rebounds. He then faced off against Sacramento Kings, where he had 15 rebounds. Moving on from that, Phoenix Suns had 22 rebounds, and then Oklahoma City Thunder, he only had 13 rebounds, which is the one he went on the under. And then a most recent Oklahoma City matchup, he was able to get 18 rebounds. So he has been able to put on a couple of great games as of recent. And when it comes to this next matchup, we look at Minnesota Timberwolves, and we do see that the Timberwolves rank 13th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So they rank pretty decently when it comes to restricting rebounds, but a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that Minnesota Timberwolves do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to the center position. Now, when it comes to Nikola Jokic, yes, he does have a higher usage rate in the rebounding department, but Minnesota Timberwolves, we are expecting them to really go all hands on deck, especially due to the fact that Minnesota are continuing to fight for a playoff spot. So is Denver, but we are expecting a lot of the defensive pressure to be on Nikola Jokic. Minnesota tend to play this sort of style of basketball, especially against tougher teams. They tend to hone in, focus in on stars as much as they can, and we definitely see that being the case coming into this matchup between Denver and Minnesota. Now, when we look at both of these teams, Denver Nuggets is a pretty slow-paced team. Minnesota Timberwolves are also a pretty slow-paced team. So we are expecting, a little bit less volume than we usually see, as both teams are very slow. The pace of the game will be slow. And I definitely see that having a big effect on this game. So when it comes to someone like Nikola Jokic, we look at his average over the last 5. His average over the last 5 is 16.4. So yes, it is above the line, but guys, he did have a game against Phoenix where he had 22 rebounds. We do believe that was a little bit of an outlier game. Also, Suns really don't rank too well when it comes to restricting rebounds, and he was able to take advantage of that. So like I always mentioned, matchups. That's what's most important. And with a matchup like Timberwolves, who will definitely focus a lot on trying to restrict Jokic as much as possible, we definitely see him going on the under here. Now, when we look at Jokic over the last 2 games that he has faced off against the Timberwolves, we see a similar result because they did verse each other or play each other on the 1st of November, and he only had 9 rebounds in that game, so below his line. And then another game on the 25th of January where he also only had 3 rebounds. So, like we just mentioned, they do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds, and it has shown in the last 2 games that when it comes to Jokic, he's definitely struggled in the rebounding department, especially against this team. So for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here, and we definitely see someone like Nikola Jokic going on the under with this matchup against the Timberwolves. So for that reason, Nikola Jokic 13.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about their opponent, and this is Julius Randle. So, as you all know, Julius Randle has been playing great for his new team. When it comes to this one, this is, however, 4 assists for actually 5.5 assists, and this one actually is for less. Now we look at Julius Randle. We've actually seen him go in the under in 2 out of the last 5 games, and they do face off against none other than the Denver Nuggets. So, looking at the last 5 games, they faced off against the Phoenix Suns where he only had 3 assists. They faced off against Philadelphia 76ers where he had 5 assists. After that, they faced off against Charlotte Hornets with 9 assists. Miami Heat had 9 assists, and then San Antonio Spurs, he had 10 assists. So he has had some pretty, big games when it comes to assists. However, guys, the war was against easier teams. Now they face off against the Denver Nuggets. Now when we look at the Denver Nuggets, they do rank 30th when it comes to assists allowed. However, when it comes to Denver Nuggets, they do a fantastic job at restricting assists to the actual big man position. So whether that is forward, whether that is center, and we tend to see Julius Randle switch between those 2 positions, we definitely see him struggling as Denver Nuggets do a fantastic job at restricting assists to his position. So we definitely see that playing a huge effect coming into this game. Now his average over the last 5 is 7.2. Yes, it is above this line, but he's had some pretty big games against easier easier matchups like Charlotte, like Miami, like Spurs when it comes to assists. He has been able to take advantage of it, but we do believe those are a little bit more of outlier games. When we see him face off against tougher assist, the defensive opponents like Philly, like Phoenix, we definitely saw the answer that the result that we wanted, which is him going on the under. And we definitely see that happening in this matchup as well. Denver are a very tough team, and like I mentioned with the Jokic pick, when we look at both of these teams, Minnesota Timberwolves and also Denver Nuggets, they are both very slow-paced teams. And because of that, it not only just plays a slow type of basketball, but it does lead to less volume, which means less opportunity for Julius Randle in the assist department. So we definitely see that having a huge effect in this game, and that is a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. So Julius Randle, 5.5 assists for less, I think is a great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Lamelo Ball. Now, as we all know, Lamelo Ball has done a fantastic job for the Charlotte Hornets, but Charlotte Hornets don't really have a great record of 16-48. But so far this season, he is averaging 25.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, 7 assists, while also shooting 40.3% from the field. So when we look at the Charlotte Hornets, like we mentioned, they do have a record of 16-48. So not really the greatest record, but they do face off against the Atlanta Hawks. Now, Atlanta Hawks do look pretty well, as they do have a record of 31-34. So they are still technically fighting for a playoff spot. So we are expecting them to come out hard coming into this game. Now, when we look at the Atlanta Hawks, however, we do see that when it comes to points allowed, they do rank 27th. Moving on into assists allowed, we see they rank 25th, and then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Atlanta Hawks rank a little bit better, but still on the lower side as they rank 19th. So we actually have seen, when it comes to Atlanta Hawks, do a very poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the actual point guard position as well. But the fact that they do also rank very low at restricting those three stats in general, we definitely see someone like Lamelo Ball, who has such a high usage rate, being able to go on the over here. Now, when we look at someone like Lamelo, I would definitely focus a lot more on points and assists. Yes, he does have a decent usage rate in the rebounding department, but when it comes to Atlanta Hawks, they do rank a little bit lower in the points and assist department. And on top of that, Lamelo also has a higher usage rate in both of those departments as well. So we definitely see that being a huge factor coming into this game, due to the fact that when we look at both of these teams as well, Charlotte Hornets are a very fast-paced team, Atlanta Hawks are a fast-paced team. So we are expecting a lot of volume in this game, and we should see a lot of pace. So because of that, it should lead to a lot more volume. Now, Lamelo Ball is coming off a game where he had 15 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds. So he did beat his rebound and assist line a little bit lower in the points category, but that was against a tougher Miami Heat team. So we definitely think that this time around we should see a different outcome, due to the fact that they face off against the Atlanta Hawks, who are not only just poor defensively, but also are a faster paced team. So Lamelo likes to and always continues to really do very well against faster paced teams, so we should see him do a fantastic job here. So keep an eye out for Lamelo Ball's line. I would definitely look to go on the over, but I would focus a lot more on points and assists, and keep an eye out for the line. If the line is under his averages, definitely look to go on the over, as I definitely see a lot of great value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about De'Aaron Fox. So as we all know, De'Aaron Fox is a part of his new team, the San Antonio Spurs, when he got traded mid-season, and he has done a fantastic job for his new team. Now, when it comes to these season stats, it is based off his time not only with the Spurs but with Sacramento Kings, but he has been averaging 23.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists, while also shooting 46.3% from the field. So he's done a decent job for the San Antonio Spurs, and the San Antonio Spurs have themselves a great matchup against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, when we look at the Dallas Mavericks, we do see that they have a record of 33-33. So they are still technically in the running for a playoff spot, continuing to fight, as the games go by. But when it comes to this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks, we do see that the Dallas Mavericks do actually rank when it comes to points allowed. They do rank 16th. Moving on into assists allowed, we see that they rank 15th. And then rebounds allowed, we also do see that the Dallas Mavericks rank 21. So they rank very mid to below tier in all three categories. However, you do also have to realize that the Dallas Mavericks have pretty much lost almost 50% of their roster so far this season, all to injury, and we definitely see that being a huge case and why we do like the under for this situation here. And since they have lost a majority of their team, we are actually expecting, the Dallas Mavericks to do a poor job defensively, and we should see De'Aaron Fox be able to go on the over here. When we look at over the last 5 games where Kyrie did get injured, some other players, Anthony Davis is injured, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, the list really does go on and on. Now, yes, there are expectancies that some players may come back soon, but as of right now and as of making this video, it is expected that all of them are actually not going to be playing. Now, when we look at the last 5 games when all of them have been injured, we've seen that Dallas has actually dropped to the bottom 5 when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists allowed when we look at the last 5 games. So, like I said, they definitely are a different team than they have been all season due to the fact that they have lost Luka, they've lost Kyrie, they're losing Anthony Davis. So it's just definitely been an absolute train wreck. And we think De'Aaron Fox will be able to take advantage of that and go on the over here. Now, they did most recently just face off against the Dallas Mavericks, and De'Aaron Fox did have himself 14 points, 8 assists, and also 4 rebounds. So he had a little bit of a cold game in that matchup. He only shot 25% from the 3, so he didn't really have himself a great shooting night, but he definitely had the volume to be able to go on the over. So we definitely see him being able to bounce back against this Dallas team, especially coming into this next matchup. We are expecting De'Aaron Fox to come out and try to seek revenge due to the fact that he did have a bit of a poor game last game, and they also did lose to the Dallas Mavericks. So we should see a different game out of De'Aaron Fox in this second back-to-back matchup. Now, on top of that, obviously Victor Wembanyama is still out for the season, so De'Aaron Fox continues to have a very high usage rate for this team, and we definitely see that being a huge plus for someone like De'Aaron Fox coming into this matchup. So we do very much like the over for his lines. I see a lot of value there in all 3 categories, but if there was ones to focus on, I think points and assists is definitely where you want to look at. So definitely keep an eye out for his line. If it is under his averages, definitely look to go on the over. So definitely see a lot of great value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Kevin Durant. So, as we all know, Kevin Durant, fantastic player for the Phoenix Suns, and he has been averaging 26.9 points, 6.1 rebounds, 4.3 assists, while also shooting 52.7% from the field. So, he's done a fantastic job for none other than the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns do have themselves a great matchup against none other than the Houston Rockets. So, as we all know, Houston Rockets do have a record of 14-25. So very good record. They continue to fight for a playoff spot. And the Phoenix Suns have a record of a bit worse of 30-35. So it is going to be a very interesting matchup between these two. Now, when we look at the Houston Rockets, we do see that they rank 4th when it comes to points allowed, 2nd when it comes to assists allowed, and then when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank 7th. So the Phoenix Suns and the Houston Rockets matchup, it is going to be an exciting one, but Houston should do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to, the Phoenix Suns. And because of that, we definitely see that affecting Kevin Durant, and we should see him go on the under on his line in this matchup. Now, when we look at someone like KD as well, he is a power forward, and Houston Rockets actually do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the power forward position. So we definitely see Kevin Durant struggling in this matchup. Also, the Suns just haven't been playing so well, and we think Houston Rockets are definitely going to have a lot of their defensive focus and defensive attention on someone like KD, as he is a star player, and we have seen Houston do a fantastic job at restricting star players time in and time out. So because of that, we do very much like the under for this one. When we look at Houston as well, they are a pretty slow-paced team. Suns are a little bit faster, but when it comes to Houston, we've actually seen them really do a fantastic job at slowing down faster-paced teams. So we definitely see that being the case coming into this next matchup. When it comes to someone like Kevin Durant, we also do like the under due to the fact that, when it comes to Suns, yes, they are still fighting for a playoff spot, but they just have been struggling, and KD has been struggling a little bit as well. So we definitely see all those things taken into consideration and do like the under for this one. So keep an eye out for KD's line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under in either one of the categories, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Josh Hart. So, Josh Hart from the New York Knicks, plays a shooting guard position, he's been doing a fantastic job because he's been averaging 14.5 points, 9.7 rebounds, 5.6 assists, while also shooting 54.5% from the field. So he's done a fantastic job for none other than the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks have themselves a great matchup against none other than the actual Portland Trailblazers. So it is going to be an exciting game, do not get me wrong there. Now the Portland Trailblazers do have a record of 28-38, so very, very poor record. New York Knicks on the other side have a record of 41-23, so they continue to fight for a playoffs position, especially due to the fact that they have been, in a really good position so far all throughout the season, but they want to remain in that top 5, to stay away from things such as play-ins and also making it too far down in a bad matchup. So the New York Knicks have done a great job. Now Portland Trailblazers, when it comes to their points, rebounds, and assists allowed, we see that they rank 18th when it comes to points allowed, which is interesting to see. On top of that, moving on into assists allowed, we see the Trailblazers rank 13th. And then also rebounds allowed, we also see the Trailblazers rank 16th. So they rank very mid-tier in all 3 categories. However, we still do very much like the over for this situation for someone like Josh Hart, due to the fact that he just has such a high usage rate in all 3 departments. Now, when it comes to someone like Josh Hart, we do actually like the over for this situation, but I would definitely focus a lot more on rebounds and assists. Now, although Josh Hart does have a decent usage rate in points, I think rebounds and assists is definitely where someone like Josh Hart is going to take advantage. And a big reason for this is that Portland Trailblazers actually do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds and assists to the shooting guard position. So for that reason, we do very much like the over for those, sort of categories. I think Josh Hart will be able to take advantage of that. Now, Josh Hart has had some big games so far, over the last 5, and he's been able to put on quite a show. He's coming off a game where he had 18 points, 3 assists, and also 6 rebounds. Another game where he had 6 assists, 20 rebounds, 14 points, and another one where he had 18, 10, and 2. So we've definitely have seen a good amount of usage rate from Josh Hart. We think with an easier matchup like Portland Trailblazers, we should see him go on the over on this one. On top of that, when we look at Portland Trailblazers as well, Portland Trailblazers are a very fast-paced team. But on top of that, when we look at the matchup against Knicks are a slower-paced team. And what we have seen time and time again is that when it actually comes to New York Knicks and Portland Trailblazers, Portland do a fantastic job at speeding up slower paced teams. And we definitely see that being the case here. So we should see Josh Hart get a little bit more volume and a little bit more pace than he usually does see, which should lead to more stats in the rebounding and assist department, which we do like to focus on coming into this matchup.